If you're trying to get back with an avoidant partner, perhaps you're just simply wasting your time. Or perhaps it's going to work out. In this video, we're going to discuss what you need to do, what you need to assess, and how to assess whether you're wasting your time or not. As you know, I'm a former dismissive avoidant, so I'll explain a little bit the psychology. If you have questions about avoidant, let me know in the comment section as well. Jiggle.
IGetMyExPack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, obviously, is to understand their attachment style and also understand their psychology, right? People who are avoidant, they value independence and self-reliance. I can do things on my own. I don't need to rely on anyone. And therefore, there's a clash with a relationship, because the relationship, you have to depend somehow in your partner's desire and try to figure out, find some sort of compromise. When we go on holidays, you cannot choose everything that we do. When we choose a house to live, etc., etc. So for avoidant, that's a struggle. And it goes against being in a relationship. That doesn't mean that avoidant can't be in a relationship, and we'll discuss throughout this slide. They struggle with intimacy. So this element of self-reliance is being vulnerable. Intimacy is a bit weird. It's easier for me to always keep my partners at an arm's length because I feel comfortable. I don't have to expose myself, right? It's easier, right? I can't get harmed, etc. And so again, it's very hard to connect, especially after a breakup. We want to discuss, we want to feel like I'm sad, you're treating me this way, you're saying those things, and you come across as cold, distant, like you don't care. It's just what you have to understand is those behaviors are a protective, a defense mechanism. So it's important, it's not about you. Usually when there's an avoidant, anxious dynamic, the avoidant leaves, but it's not because of you, it's because of the attachment clash. And it's a defense mechanism. I feel safe when I can be my own. I'm self-reliant, independent, and I don't have to be vulnerable, right? So it's important to understand and remember this. It's not about you, it's about them, it's about their fear, actually. I put together a very quick and super helpful tool. If you're dated an avoidant and want to figure out, like, okay, am I wasting my time? Am I doing the right things? Have a look in the description. There's a link, and let me know how you find it, because I just created it and I thought, okay, a lot of my clients are in that situation. Let's figure out some kind of tool to guide them a little bit and give them a bit of guidance and clarity. That's one of the most important things you have to assess. This one and the last slide is the most important. The willingness to change. We are not bound by our attachment styles. I used to be avoidant. That doesn't have to define who I am as a person if I'm doing something about it. So what you have to assess is whether they're open to personal growth, self-awareness. Are they willing to change, basically? Can you see that they want to improve intimacy? So sometimes you will feel that they open up. Maybe not a lot, but they will open up more than with anyone else. That's a good sign. Whether they want to see a therapist. It's very important after a breakup to realize, well, is my ex thinking, you're the problem, I'm fine, and there's nothing to change? Or whether they say, I was in love with you, it didn't work out, and I want to figure out what I can do. That's different. It's very important. So it's important to assess on their part if they are willing to change, but it's also important, equally important, if not more important, to assess your own needs, right? It's important to understand that, okay, I have a set of needs. Am I okay being in a relationship with someone who has tendency to be avoidant? Are you prepared for the emotional ups and downs? Because there will be ups and downs. Even though they're working at being more secure, there will be times where they'll feel the need for independence. It's important because sometimes after a breakup, we feel, I want this person at all costs. I'm suffering. He or she was so important for me. I can't see my life without him or her. And so it doesn't matter how I feel. I want them back. No, that's not the right way of looking at it. When I work with my clients, it's important to, really, and we've done a program with Elizabeth about that, really recentering things around you. How can you establish boundaries, healthy boundaries, and create the rule book of what would be not an ideal, because ideal relationships don't exist, but the relationship that works for you. Okay, and you have thousands of people who could fit. Maybe your ex won't fit in that sort of framework, environment, set of needs and desire. Now, in terms of the dynamic of when you get back together, the response of no contact is important to assess this. Whether they reached out, whether you see any signs of them missing you. Understand that there's avoidance and there's also ego. So sometimes people that don't reach out, they want to feel like and show to the world that I'm winning the breakup. So it's important to assess those things and be sort of subtle with that. Their reaction will obviously indicate underlying feelings, but there's always a layer of distance, right? They will always come across more distant. They will always, on social media, you'll feel like it's not natural. Maybe they're going to go out way more than before. Maybe they're going to disappear from social media. Something that feels weird. What you have to also understand is if for them, being in no contact, not showing any sign of regret, is something that they managed to do for a long time. Again, it's really about deep-seated avoidance from their part. And we are back to the fact that maybe they're not the right partner for you. Maybe they don't feel they need to change anything. So have a look at the assessment. It's something that we track really well around this. Were they into me? Is it about feelings? Is it about avoidance? Then when you're in touch with them, and I think it's okay, you're going to ask me the question. I think it's okay to reach out at some stage. You might be thinking like, oh yeah, but if they're avoidant and I break no contact, I will come across as needy and I will sort of interfere with their need for independence and freedom and whatever. Not really. If you just reach out after some stage and you've been together for years, they're not going to feel like, oh yeah, they're bothering me, or they never really cared about you, which is, I guess, the case. So reaching out, being non-threatening, just super casual, friendly, and not asking anything, you're not going to risk anything by doing that. Now, it's also important to have different set of expectations on what you can achieve in a conversation with an avoidant. When I say open to discussing feelings, is really something, a very tiny bit of sign would be enough. Also, the empathy element. Again, it's really about, don't look at it from your point of view of how you would react, because I'm pretty sure you're way more empathetic than them. You're way more caring. You are someone who will open up more easily, right? So don't think like, okay, if I was in his or her shoes, I would say those things that I'm expecting, right? No. They are coming from a different point of view, from a different set of beliefs, different set of fears. And so for them, opening up, discussing about feelings, talking about their regrets has a huge, huge cost. It's costing them a lot just to open up. And I think about myself, opening up, it cost me a lot. Talking about my fears, the problem that I have, it cost me a lot. And I have to prepare myself to do that. So think about that when you are engaging with them, when you're discussing with them, and you want to connect, right? You want to discuss things. You're prepared to discuss. You're not going to judge them. You're not going to confront them. But just want to tell me what's going on. Tell me your story. I want to know. And I know it's frustrating because you just want to you just have to say those words because you're thinking about those things, but they are blocking it. So it's really something you have to assess as a dynamic. So what I do with my clients on WhatsApp, daily is assessing whether there's a progress, whether they're opening up gradually. And force my clients to reset their baseline, not to what they expect from their point of view, but from an avoidant point of view. That helps you to be more resilient. That helps you to not to give up quickly or to be frustrated so quickly, because it takes a bit of time for avoidant to open up. So there's the communication. There's also signs of effort. You want to be in a relationship where your partner makes an effort. You want to be in a relationship that's not a one-sided relationship. So it's something you can assess as part of the relationship recovery. Is my partner making an effort? Are they trying to rebuild trust, to reconnect? The same way you're being consistent with your actions, with your words, with how you treat them, you also have to assess this. And sometimes we have those mixed signals, this on and off, hot and cold dynamic. It's important to assess whether the dynamic is like always an ongoing loop of on and off mixed signals, not getting anything from them, or whether there's any form of progress. Again, it's about the efforts. So going back to the same thing, the same image, what matters is not the baseline, is that they're improving, that the dynamic is improving every week, every month. Maybe your set of expectations are here, right? And fair enough. And you have every right to have expectations like this. If you start and you're here, and they do, like, for them it's costing them a lot to be here, you feel like, okay, I'm wasting my time. It's not going to work out. The point is to understand, like, as long as we're getting there, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. Now, if you're always like this, then yes, you're wasting your time, because it's a sign that they're not making any work towards change. Because if you do like this, it's a sign that, like, I'm not making an effort. I'm always doing the same things again and again. We're repeating the same old patterns, and the relationship won't work with them. Looking at patterns again, avoid falling into old patterns. Perhaps you discovered attachment style after this breakup, and you're anxious. So try to, and I know it's actually harder to be secure after a breakup than when you're in a relationship, because there's a lot of triggering elements, but you have to remember, like, hold on. The only way for us to be together and to be happy is for us to tend to be more secure, right? And stop being in that patterns of triggering each other. So now you know about their triggering points. You know about your triggering points. And perhaps throughout this breakup, during the contact, you worked around emotional regulation, reframing your working models, and so on and so forth. So maybe with a therapist, maybe with yourself. And again, if you have questions about that, let me know in the comment section. But what you have to create is another relationship. Your ex won't get back with you if he or she feels same. We always fight about the same things. I always feel like this. I always feel uneasy. I don't feel like working on eggshells. I always feel I'm not good enough. I always feel like, if you reproduce the same things, it's not going to work out. So find what needs to change from your end, because it's the only thing you can control. Implement those things, present them, be consistent, and things will be different. And if things are different, then you're on the right track to get back with them. Another element that you have to assess is the emotional impact. After a breakup, as I said, sometimes we feel like, if I want to be happy, if I want to have a good life, I want my ex. Just want to be in a relationship. I was happy with him or her. Just bring me back with him or her and I'll be happy. Right? No, what matters is for you to be emotionally stable, to feel valued, to feel respected. And yes, a partner can nurture this, should nurture this. Now ask yourself whether your partner or whether your ex, as of now, is nurturing those elements, is making you feel valued, respected, you feel emotionally well, you feel confident, you feel that, okay, every single day I feel better. Every single day I feel more confident. If you feel like this, you're in the right track. If you're not, Ask yourself, okay, what am I trying to achieve? What's the end goal? The end goal shouldn't be to get back with my ex. No. The end goal should be, I want to be happy in my next relationship. Right? I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't really care if you get back with your ex. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. Your partner is a proxy in a way. And maybe that proxy doesn't work anymore. Maybe that proxy never really worked for you. Right? What matters is, okay, what do I want? What do I need? And maybe there's an element of toxicity in that. Realize that it was toxic. Accept that you were wrong, right? Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But it's important to, as you develop or you try to rekindle the relationship with that person, okay, am I feeling better? If you feel like it's not easy, it's difficult, that's not a good sign. Don't get me wrong. Relationships are hard. But if they're hard at the beginning, if you feel that you have to fight at the beginning, that's not a good sign. It should be easy. It should be organic. Problems will come afterwards, don't worry. And so, getting back together shouldn't feel difficult. The difficult part is the elements around personal development, around working on being more secure, etc. But that has nothing to do with your partner, right? So if you feel like I need to fight, I need to get their attention, that's not a good sign. And this is why it's important to set realistic expectations around them, around you. It's a process. If you guys have insecurities, if he or she's avoidant, if you are anxious, it takes a bit of time to develop a secure attachment style. There's always this expectation of, again, we've been together for 10 years. We broke up a week ago. I want them back now. No, it takes some time. If things need to change, if it's a profound change that needs to happen, well, leave it some time. And focus more on the process than any form of deadline or dates. That's why I always tell my clients, it doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is the progress. And if you think about that, if you always have the process in mind, you'll be able to manage setbacks and challenges because you know where you want to go. You know the process, right? So if there's a setback, you're not going to challenge the whole thing because you know I'm doing the right. I'm taking the right actions. So going back to my clients, yeah, I don't necessarily care if they get back with their ex. Obviously not as much as them. What I care, what I'm obsessed about is that I want them to look back at the process and they feel I've done the right things throughout the process. I was true to myself throughout the process. And yes, there's always an element of uncertainty. But at least, regardless of the outcome, in 3-6 months' time, I want you to look back and think, I have no shame. I'm proud of what I've done. And yeah, maybe it didn't work out, but I know I've done my part. And I don't feel any form of remorse or regrets because I have done my part. And maybe for most of you, you get back together and you feel like, okay, I had to do those things. And now my relationship is stronger than before, way stronger. Because I haven't tried to use any form of shortcuts. I haven't tried to dismiss those blind spots. Now I feel more secure. Now my relationship is more secure. I don't feel in a constant battle with my partner. Yes, we disagree on things. We fight sometimes. But we understand each other. And we're able to function. We found the user manual of each other. And now it works out. And it's it's stronger. It's more resilient. Because we know our threshold. We know our pain points. We know our trigger points. That's the word I was looking for. So that's a different thing. And it's a process. Which brings me to the goals and future plans. At some stage, as you're trying to rekindle things, you have to make sure that your life goals align with each other. Whether you have the same aspirations, same goals. Maybe you're part of a life transition where you simply want different things. And sometimes a lot of my clients, there's a breakup around life, life transitions. There's a life crisis, like I can't deal with this anymore. And maybe it's a question of like, you should both reinvent yourself, scrap everything that you've done before, and let's start fresh. And maybe have another lifestyle, maybe move to a new location, maybe change jobs, etc., etc., etc. But that doesn't have to be the relationship the problem. And maybe this new chapter is not something you want. Maybe you don't want to go on an adventure and go around the world on a sailing boat or whatever. Maybe you want to stay with your kids, and that's your choice. But it's figure out like, okay, hold on. What's the vision? Do I feel that we can align? If we don't have any shared vision, regardless of the feelings, regardless of the attachment style, it's not going to work out. Because you will end up in a life that doesn't feel like what you want. Or they're going to feel like they're in a life or they're doing things they don't want. So at some stage towards the end, it's important to assess those goals and future plans. And now it's really about the decision-making process. I can't make the decision for you. You know your ex way better than me. You also need to know yourself way better than I know yourself if you're my client. The pros and cons. And again, it's about distancing yourself. Moving away from like, I need them at all costs. If I get back with them, I'm happy. No. Assess the cost. Be very cold about assessing those things. And that's why I put like, don't trust your instincts, trust your brain. Ask yourself, what would my best friend think about this? Would she accept this or that? Right? If you feel like, not really, that you're not making the right decision. Your ex, your partner, might be an exceptional person, but they might be also the worst partner. Sometimes that happens. It's important to assess those things. So I'm listing the worst case scenarios, and I think that would be like, for majority of you, that won't necessarily apply. But I want to raise those concerns because when you, the process is difficult in the sense of it takes a bit of time. And you get a bit frustrated. And you might cry some days because you feel like you're not leading anywhere. That's why it's important to ask yourself at some stage, okay, what am I trying to save? And be honest with yourself. I can't tell you whether your ex is the right person to get back with or not. You can. But only ask yourself the question with those insights in mind. That's why I'm making those videos, is not only for you to learn about like how to get back with my ex and the processes and stuff like that. It's more about like informing you, sharing with you some insights that will help you make better decisions. Then you make the decision. Nobody can make the decision for you, but shifting from that emotional response, potentially driven by that fear of abandonment, maybe that triggering element of rejection that makes us usually make bad decisions, to more informed decisions about what you want, how you can establish your boundaries, what's the ideal relationship, how would a secure relationship would look like, and so on and so forth. Because once you have those insights, you make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, you have a happier life. Happy life, happy wife, that's what we say, right? If you have any question on this, let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to take the assessment if you're not sure about your ex. I will see you next time. Bye. Take care.